Here are 5 reasons that traveling makes me a better investor and actually makes me more money in the long run. So the first reason is that whenever I travel, I get to see new places, new cities, new hotels, new experiences. So all of that new information that you're collecting as a person, you are actually building your own experience and you're learning new things and new ways of doing things. And so once you start learning all that new information, that causes you to be more creative. At least for me personally, I know whenever I travel, I always learn so much about different cultures, about different cities, about different restaurants, hotels, and all that causes me to be more creative in my own business. I start thinking of new ways to do things. I see how somebody else is doing something, maybe how they're running their business, or maybe how I can run my business better because I learned something from how they're running their business. I could see a mistake that they're making maybe, or maybe I could see something that they're doing so well that I want to implement that in my business. So all of that brings so much creativity, and you open yourself up because you leave your own routine that you have at home day after day after day. And when you leave that routine, you create a new environment for yourself, and it forces your brain into a creative state. And the reason that it goes into a creative state is because once you leave your house, right, you have your routine at home, day in, day out, you do the exact same thing, your brain can actually go into kind of like an autopilot. And so it doesn't really have to think about the things that you have to do every day. You have to wake up, you go to the gym, you have your morning routine, you have lunch at a certain time, you have dinner at a certain time. You don't really have to think too much about it. But when you travel, you're kind of out of that routine. All of a sudden, your favorite tea kettle isn't there anymore, and your coffee maker isn't there, and where you regularly get breakfast, it's not where you've traveled. And so once you've traveled, you're putting yourself into a new environment, and your brain is forced to become creative. Literally, you have to be creative in a new environment because you've never been in that environment anymore, and now you have to think critically. One of the biggest reasons that travel makes you a better investor is because it causes you to think creatively. You have to find new ways of doing things, and I think actually on a personal level, you just become more rounded as a person because you're learning all these new things. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is when you put yourself in a new environment, when you travel, you're meeting new people. So you're meeting people that you've never met before, and you never know how meeting a right person while traveling, literally shaking just one hand, could change your life forever. I know that most of my business partners that I've met was actually when I traveled somewhere. So I literally traveled somewhere, whether it was to an event or to a new city, but I was out of my own state, right? I was out of my comfort zone, out of my home state. I traveled somewhere and I met somebody, and that person became such a critical part of my life. That person became somebody that I do business with all the time. They became my partner. Now, I'm not saying travel just anywhere. You have to think about where you're traveling. You have to be strategic. So if I know that, hey, I need to meet somebody who's in tech, high-level executive, I need them to partner with me on this project. Okay, well, I'm gonna go to Silicon Valley and I'm gonna find networking events, and I'm gonna find places where I can get to know people exactly like that. Now, once I found those people, I can partner with them. Or let's say I wanna invest into oil wells. Well, guess what? I'm probably gonna go to Texas, right? And I'm probably gonna meet with people in Texas where I believe that people who operate oil wells could be. And now that I've positioned myself correctly, okay, well, now I can start meeting the right people, opening those doors, exploring those partnerships, shaking those hands, and then finally doing business together. If I like what they're doing, if I trust them, that's a really important aspect of it as well. You have your creativity, you're meeting new people, and then the third reason that I believe travel makes me a better investor is because I'm doing due diligence. Once I meet those people, let's say I'm down in Texas, I meet that person, well, I'm gonna do due diligence. I'm gonna go check out his wells. I'm gonna go check out his business. What does his office look like? It's really different when you meet somebody in person because you can really see who they are. Zoom is one thing, and I'm a huge fan of Zoom and web conferencing and all that type of stuff, but it doesn't let you know that person as they are in person, if that makes sense. So being there in person, meeting that person face to face, shaking their hand, that's a whole lot different than just meeting them online. And it really gives you an opportunity to understand who that person is besides what they do for work. The fourth reason that I believe traveling makes me a better investor and actually more profitable is that I can get super focused when I travel. When I'm traveling, I know that I'm specifically focused on this task and I don't have as many distractions, right? I don't have people that maybe know me company or people that want to grab lunch or dinner or all these things. That's what you have at home. You have so many things going on at home that sometimes it's tough to just focus on business and only business, because you're at home, you have all the distractions of being at home. So when you travel, you have an opportunity to be laser focused on the exact thing that you're there to do. You just focus on that one task, on that one project that you flew out to focus on. That's another reason why I love traveling, and I think it makes me more profitable because I'm able to just hone in, take care of business, and then head back home when I'm ready to go. The fifth reason that I believe traveling makes me a better investor is because it allows me to meet other people who are invested into that project. So we talked a little bit about networking previously, and that's just people that you meet when you're there to invest, right? So people to invest with, right? You're not talking about other investors. So maybe somebody who operates the investment. You're out there to network, to learn about new opportunities, and also meet operators who could operate your investments. Now, if you want to travel and actually meet other investors, that's a different type of travel. And so sometimes you can find opportunities to meet other investors who are invested into the same thing that you're invested into. So you go out there, you find those opportunities, right? You're doing your due diligence, you're checking them out in person, and you have an opportunity to learn about how other investors are leveraging those same opportunities. Again, if I'm invested into oil wells, or maybe I'm investing into real estate in Florida. When I go down to Florida and I look at my real estate, I'm probably gonna run into other people who are doing real estate in Florida. And I bet you there's something that I could learn about how they're running their business that maybe I'm not quite doing yet. By traveling, by putting myself out there, taking myself out of my routine, taking myself out of my comfort zone, I'm able to meet those people and learn about how they're doing their business. I know that they oftentimes understand or maybe see things that I haven't seen yet. Maybe they've been in real estate for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, right? I can even find people to mentor me in that specific field because I know that, hey, this person has been doing it for 50 years. I'm not even 50 years old. So he or she probably knows a lot more than I do about this specific subject. So what if I were just to partner with them, learn about what they're doing, right? As long as they're willing to teach me, and then apply that into my own investments. So implement what I learned from them into my own investment strategy. And that not only causes me to be more profitable, but that one trip maybe cost me a couple $1,000s, right? I traveled maybe for a few days, cost me a couple $1,000s. However, I met somebody that was so influential who was also doing the same thing that I'm doing, that it opened more opportunities for me, that it taught me how to be a better investor, that I learned certain things that I can now implement into my investment strategy. And so overall, I wouldn't say that you have to monetize every single trip. That's pretty hard to do. However, if you're always traveling and you're always looking for opportunities, you're always networking, you're always meeting new people, you're allowing yourself to be creative, that is when you start seeing residual returns. So year after year after year, you're just gonna start seeing those travels paying off. Every time I've traveled, I've tried to make at least one connection in a new city, in a new place, in a new industry, something that I can learn or somebody that I can learn from in a new place that I've never even done business in before. And that allows me to have a much more rounded picture about what I'm doing in comparison to what they're doing and how we can partner up on certain deals in the future. All right, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.